We've got lots of people attending these sessions now. We've got over 200 people registered for these weekly sessions. Obviously, not everyone comes every week, but just come to as many as you can and catch up with the recordings that I send out on replay, on email, and also onto my YouTube channel. Good morning. Hi, Ola. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Felicity. Good morning to everyone. Great to see you all here. So today we're going to be talking about prospecting. We're going to be talking about how you can increase acceptance rates on your prospecting activities and things like that. So it's quite a useful topic because not everybody gets this right. Lots of people get it wrong. And if you're not prospecting, it will be a little reminder that that is a daily habit that you guys should be focused on. So good morning, Patrick, sunny Dublin. Good morning, good morning. Hi, Linda. Wow, all your impressions this week shot up by 209%. Amazing. That's awesome. Good morning, Linda. So welcome. For those of you just joining, I'm Sam Rattling. If you're here for the first time, you're very welcome. I run these training sessions every single week on a Wednesday morning at 9:30 UK time, and the replays all go up onto my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Sam Rattling. So if you are not already registered and subscribed to my channel, please pop over there and do so. If you are watching the recording, you'll see some other links down below that will help you as well. Good morning, Denise in Spain. Amazing. Love that you're dialing in from Spain. So let's get started. So today's going to be all about personalized prospecting. In fact, I'm going to attempt to cover 20 ways to personalize your prospecting in just 30 minutes. Now, I am going to deep dive on a couple of them because many of them are very self-explanatory, but there are a few little tips and tricks I'm going to share with you today that will actually help you to get better at prospecting. And mainly the reason for that is to increase your acceptance rates, especially now that we're quite limited to how many people that we can invite. Now, there are two trains of thought as to whether or not you should personalize or not personalize. So we'll dig into all of that good stuff today as well. But for now, let's get started on what we're going to talk about. So for those of you that are new to LinkedIn, because I do get a lot of new people here, or people that have maybe started a business and haven't had to do sales before, I'm just going to define what prospecting really is, because it's really about the activity of identifying and contacting potential customers to generate new revenue. And that could be in a range of different facets. So that could be picking up the phone. That would be prospecting. Cold calling is a type of prospecting. But within the LinkedIn environment, which is what we're here to talk about, it's all about the outreach and inviting new people to connect with you and then starting conversations with those people. Now, all I'm going to focus on today is the first step, which is the invitation process. Now, there are two ways you can do that. You can either just simply hit the connect button with no personalization at all and no personal note, or you can personalize, and we'll talk about when is it appropriate to do that. But that is what prospecting really is. So before I go into the training, I'd like to run a quick poll, and I'd like to find out about your current prospecting activity. So I've got 3 questions for you. So I'm just going to launch the poll now. So you'll see 3 questions. Firstly, are you proactively prospecting daily? And I mean daily, like Monday to Friday, without fail, it's part of your daily habits. Secondly, do you currently personalize your connection requests? And that might be yes, no, or sometimes. And number 3, what is your average acceptance rate? That's the invite to connection. So maybe you're not tracking it, but if you don't know, then just go with less than 30. But it's important that you are looking at your acceptance rates, because if you can't measure it and you're not measuring and tracking it, then you're not going to know how to make improvements. So we've got about 50% of you less than 30% acceptance. Just looking here. Right, I'm going to end the poll. I think we've got majority of you have answered. Let's have a look. Yeah, so I'm going to end the poll. I'm just going to share the results. So currently only 17% of you are prospecting daily, 56%, it depends on how busy I am, and 28% of you are not prospecting at all. So for the 28% of you that are not prospecting at all, you're relying on hope. You're relying on inbound leads coming in, because if I just post enough content, I'm going to, get these people coming towards me. That may happen, but that takes a lot of time and energy to get to a point where you are getting those inbound leads. The outbound, you're in control of. It's very proactive as an activity. So if you're not currently prospecting, I'm glad that you're here. Hopefully this will make it a lot easier for you. For those of you, are you currently personalizing? 50% yes, sometimes 33% and 17% no. And majority of you, 40% or 39%, are less than 30% acceptance rate. So for you guys, this is about how can you increase the acceptance rate? So if you're going to send 100 invitations out and only get 30 people say, yes, I'll connect, imagine if you could get that to 60. It's the same amount of effort to invite 100 people, but instead you're getting 60 people connecting with you and coming into your network versus 30. Okay, so or less than 30. Okay, good. The reason I'm repeating those, I know you guys can see it live, but on YouTube, the little launch, the poll results don't show up for the people watching. So that's why on the recording, I'm just repeating those back. So there we go. Let's get rid of that. So let's talk about prospecting, right? Ultimately, it is getting harder. That is fact. You know, pre-lockdown, you could just send some messages out, start some conversations, book some meetings. It was a lot easier. But there has been a 56% increase in how many people are using direct messages and prospecting since lockdown happened. So the LinkedIn platform is being bombarded with a lot more people trying to do this prospecting and outreach activity, and in many cases quite badly. Now, if you do have questions today, please do use the Q&A box, which you'll find underneath on the bottom of your webinar screen. Don't use the chat box for questions because I'm not going to see it ultimately. It's going to be quite busy. Got it. Okay, perfect. So prospecting is 100% getting harder. People are being bombarded. That is happening, especially decision makers. So the more senior level decision makers, perhaps people in the C-suite, for example, or budget holders, they are being bombarded, business owners for sure as well. And the buying landscape has changed. You know, it's no longer possible to, you know, necessarily pick up the phone. Lots of people work from home, right? So lots of people are working from home. Buying has changed. It's a lot more about digital. A lot of buyers will do a lot more homework and a lot more research before they even have a conversation with a potential provider. So lots of things have shifted, and you need to be able to keep up with that in terms of how to do this. Now, these two images, although they're a bit blurry, are taken from the inbox of our CEO, Nicholas Jones. Now, Nick got between 7:14 in the morning and 10:22 last month, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 prospecting messages in the space of about 3.5 hours. This is the reality of what is happening in inboxes of people that have titles like CEO, CRO, CSO, etc., CFO. Like, they are literally getting bombarded, and you can see there the awful approaches that people are using. We haven't even expanded them out, but the average number of sales prospecting messages a day that decision makers are getting, Nick gets more than this, is about 10. That's 50 a week. That's 200 a month. Think about that. That's 200 prospecting messages that they're getting. So it's about cutting through all that noise, and how can you do that in a way that allows you to stand out from the crowd. Now, there are multiple ways you can do that, especially once you've been connected to them. We're not going to talk about that today. We're just going to talk about the invitation process. Now, you can see here some pretty awful examples of bad outreach. Let's have a look on the left-hand side there. Lovely Kevin. Hi, Sam. We do this. We help companies do this. Would this be of interest to you? If so, drop me a message. Like, I haven't even connected to this person yet, and he's already pitching me in the invitation message, right? So that is a big no-no. No selling. You'll just instantly repel people if you are trying to sell and talk about yourself in the invitation process. You'd think this would be common sense, but I get messages like this all the time. Here's another one. I'd like to introduce you to blah, 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 blah. This is all about us. This is our website. This is the results that we get for our clients. And again, this is just on the invitation. This is not once you've connected. This is not even a follow-up message once connected. This is the invitation message. So you can see here that this is not the way to do things. Now, give me some ideas in the chat box. What do you think bad outreach looks like? You probably get them all the time. What type of things are in common with people that don't prospect very well? What type of things do you see people doing when they are bad outreaching to you? I get them all the time. I turn them around, by the way. I reverse them and turn them into customers. But what type of things? There we go, Michelle. I only get a couple of months, but it's straight in with a pitch. Yeah. So it's very transactional. Like, that's a typical bad outreach approach. Yeah, Linda, they're trying to sell to me. They're trying to pitch to me. Any form of pitching. Yeah, Steve, for sure. So bad outreach is typically don't know what I'm doing, only talking about themselves, wrong job title, or no clear research done. Absolutely. These are all very, very typical. So typically it's all about them, right? It's all about that, why they want to connect with you, not the other way around. Quite often they are selling before you've even said yes to connecting. It's also not very personalized to the invitee. So it's just like a generic blank message that they're clearly sending to like 100 people a day. There's no demonstration of any kind of rapport building. That's an important one as well. And it's about the transaction and not the relationship. So it's important that you kind of look out for these. So you'll see them coming into your inbox. They will come into your inbox. Send them my direction if you're sick of them, and just say, how's this approach working out for you? By the way, you should go check out some thing. So let's talk about personalization or no personalization. So there are two camps on this one. Pre-lockdown and during lockdown, I would have said, like, you've got to personalize every single message that you send. And there has been a shift recently. So we're filming this in kind of the end of May, last day of May in 2023. So in the last kind of 6 months or so, there has definitely been a shift to people kind of almost ignoring the messages that come through when they've got some kind of generic kind of outreach in them, because people are just sick of just receiving them knowing they're just going to get a pitch. But there are ways to do it and personalize in the right way. So here's my kind of view on this. If you are trying to connect with somebody that is the same level as you, i.e. we're peers, so for me that would be a small business owner with maybe up to 10 staff, that is kind of like me, growing and scaling a business. Maybe they're doing speaking, training, coaching, that kind of thing. If I'm on what I deem to be the same level as them, I don't personalize the connection request. Or if they are not as experienced as me, or don't have, maybe they're new to business, like they just don't know what they're doing, or they're new to LinkedIn, they've got like less than 1,000 followers, for example, I won't personalize that connection request, because I need volume of those people in my network, and I want volume of those people in my network because they're great prospects for me, right? So in that case, I don't personalize. However, if I want to connect with, if let's say I'm prospecting for corporate work, because I do a lot of corporate training, I do a lot of training for sales teams, etc., I will personalize messages to senior decision makers in much larger companies than my own. So I might not personalize everything, but if I really want a conversation with someone and I really want to get noticed by a potential decision maker, then I do take the time to personalize. So of my 100 invitations a week, I probably invest about half of them in just straight connect with the people that I see to be at the peer level as myself. And the other 50 I reserve for chief revenue officers, CEOs, people in the boardroom that make decisions about spend on things like sales navigator training. And ultimately, I'm going to train their team to do this. I'm going to train their teams to prospect at enterprise and corporate level. So if I go in with a non-personalized connection request and I just hit connect, then I'm not going to get as good results, and therefore I'm not going to be walking my talk when I train their team, for example. So I recommend personalizing in certain situations. Now you get 100 invites a week. Every rolling 7 days, you have approximately 100 invites. So that's 400 invites per month on average. So let's say that's 20 prospecting messages a day based on 5 days a week. Now you definitely want to be maxing that out, especially if you need business at the moment. If you're looking for sales and looking for business and you're not network building, you're missing an opportunity. So for the 17% of you that said I'm not prospecting at all, this is a big wake up call for you. So you're better to spread across the week and prospect little and often and make it like a daily habit. But you want to be aiming in terms of connection rates for about 50 to 60%. If you do this right, you should be getting more than half of the people that you invite say, yes, I'll connect with you. Now, there is, of course, lots of things you can do after that. You can follow up with them, etc. But once you're connected, they're going to see your content in the newsfeed. You've had some interaction in the inbox, you post something on the newsfeed, they're going to start seeing you show up. They might start interacting with your content, and over time, you're going to nurture that relationship. But just because somebody doesn't necessarily respond to a second message or doesn't necessarily interact with you straight away, that doesn't mean that that relationship is dead. So just bear that in mind. But your target should be 50 to 60% of those people that you are connecting with are saying, yes, I'll accept. Now, the key to success with those more senior decision makers or the people you really want to connect with, not necessarily peer level, but those ones where you're like, I really, really want to get into that company. The key to success on that is what I call hyper personalization. So I was with a client the other day and they said, oh, you mean personalization, like just putting their name in? And I'm like, no, no, no. Like not just their name. You've got to go into a lot of detail and look at lots of things that you could pick out from their profile that would allow you to hyper personalize their profile. It's almost kind of this show me that you know me, show me that you've done some homework. Like when someone connects with me, I have on my profile that I'm a single mom of 3 kids, that I spend a lot of time in the Algarve, I'm a hammer, I support West Ham, things like that. When somebody messages me and they mention any of those things on my profile, I know that they've looked at it, they've spent some time reading about me. Maybe they mentioned some recent content that I've posted, etc. But they've obviously taken the time, and they're not going to be sending that specific message to everyone that they're connecting with on LinkedIn. So I always connect with people that personalize their messages and make it very tailored to me. So think about it from the reverse. Like, would you do that if somebody spent the time and clearly had done their homework before you connected? Chances are most of you probably would. In that case, then think about it in reverse. The prospects that you're looking to talk to are more likely to connect with you if you can show and demonstrate you've done some homework. So I'm going to give you these 20 personalization points. I'm going to whiz through them. They are actually all detailed in my brand new book, Linked Outbound. And if you stay on to the end, I'm going to give you a link for you to go download that for free. It doesn't come out on Amazon until June, but we are just releasing it to a few people that come to my events and things like that. So I will give you the link to go get the download of the book. And in there is a lot of detail about these personalization points. So I'm not going to be able to cover every single one of them, but let's talk about some of them. Now, a really obvious one that a lot of people use is the fact you've got some mutual connections. Now, whilst that's important, it wouldn't be the only thing I would use on a personalization message to somebody. So if we had more than 50, I'd be like, wow, I can't even believe we haven't connected by now. Like we know so many of the same people, but I wouldn't use it as the only thing. What I would recommend is you picking out up to 3 of these personalization points and using them all in one message. So shared university. Now I'm going to show you how to find people that you went to the same university as very shortly. I'm just about to do that for you, but this is a good one. So let's say I find a chief revenue officer who went to the same university as me. And in fact, we were there at this very same time. Like that would be a bit of a coincidence, right? But I could find 100 people like that and have one message prepared for all 100 chief revenue officers that went to the same university as me, for example. We might have studied similar topics. So they might have a shared interest in psychology, or they might have a shared interest in media, for example. A good one is shared LinkedIn groups. So this one can be used quite effectively. You can be in up to 50 LinkedIn groups, and LinkedIn will show you where you've got some common ground. So again, using groups as a way to connect with people and mention it in your messages. Have a look at the volunteer work and charity work that people do. So I'm a member of Rotary, so I'm a Rotarian. That is an international organization. There are like 1.2 million Rotarians across the world, something like that. It might even be higher than that. And if I find somebody that's also in Rotary, we've got that common ground. We have shared values and things like that. So there may be something around the work that you do in volunteering and your charity work that you could have some common ground in. You might also want to look at things like how long have they been in the role, or how have they been promoted, for example. So it's not necessarily a thing you can find in common, but let's say that they've had significant career progression and you take a look at that on their profile, you could mention that on your connection request. If they've got a significant number of followers, or maybe there's just something impressive about their profile. So stroking the ego can help a little bit when you're connecting with people, especially people that are slightly more senior. So I'm just going to share with you one of these, which is the shared university example. So type yes if any of you went to university for me. Just type yes. So this will only be relevant for those of you where you can find your university or school on LinkedIn. If you can't find your university or school as a company page on LinkedIn, then this won't work. But for those of you that did, here's an example, right? So Linda, Anne, Maya, Natasha, right? Okay, so this one's for you. So what I would recommend you do is you go to the page. I've taken the University of Manchester as an example for today's example. Go to the page where you find the school or higher education or university that you went to. Okay. Now on there, you'll see, first off, you might want to follow the page, especially if you used to go there, you might want to. And you can see down here, I've already starting to get some highlights, right? So you can see I live in Derby, 660 alumni work in Derby, but also went to the University of Manchester. So there are immediately 660 people that I might want to go have a look at. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to go check on the alumni, which is that middle button there. So go across to alumni. And once you're into the alumni, you can then use this to see where the alumni work. So there are 304,000 people that have been to the Manchester University. They have it on their LinkedIn profile somewhere. You can see places that they live. So let's say, I don't know, let's say you're in Australia. I know we get some people watching from there. Well, there are 5,800 people that live in Australia that also went to the University of Manchester. So you might have that in common. You can also see here different companies. So let's say I was targeting Barclays Bank, and there are 406 people that work at Barclays that also went to the University of Manchester. So you start to get these patterns. But the cool thing is that there is also this little search bar at the top, which says search alumni by title, keyword, or company. So let's say I was targeting a specific company. I can go there and type in that company name, and it will show me all the people that work at that company that also share the same university with me. Doesn't matter what level they are, just start connecting in with them, and you'll start to get some second degree connections with the people you really want. But this is a cool one, right? I've now used this to say, well, show me all the chief revenue officers or CROs or sales directors. I've used what's called a Boolean search there. If you want to learn about Boolean, I've already done a video on that earlier in the series. So check out my YouTube videos for the Boolean search one on advanced search filters. So I've done chief revenue officer or CRO or sales director. Now, this has given me, of the 304,000 alumni, 2,609 of them are having that job title currently. You can see there on the right hand side. Now, if I really wanted to be specific, I could also put the years that I was there. I didn't actually go to University of Manchester, by the way, but let's say I went there from 1999 to 2002. I could then drill this down even more to people that have that job title, but that were also my slides are going all crazy. There we go. That will also have the same job title, but also there at the same time as me, which I think is pretty cool. So is that new to you? So let's type yes if that's a new way of finding prospects. Okay, good, because this right here is like a dead easy way to find people that you have some common ground with, and it's much easier to personalize if you've got things like that. Now, the chances are, if you target someone with the right message, who's got the right job title, you mention the fact that you went to the same university and the fact that you possibly got some mutual connections. So all of these people here on the right-hand side are second degree. You can see Joe, Kevin, Andrew, they're all second degree connections. So we already have some mutual common ground, and we share the same university, and we're also in sales leadership, right? So I've immediately got three things that I can personalize my messages against. So I think this is a pretty cool one. There are a few others that you might want to talk about. So go have a look at their content. Like, they may be posting some awesome content at the moment. There may be a post they've done recently that went viral. Go have a look at their recent content. Mention a specific article or post when you connect with them to demonstrate that you've actually done your homework. Have a look through their recommendations. Maybe they've got tons of recommendations on their profile. Maybe there's something completely different or unique about their profile. It could be it could be something quirky, it could be their brand name, it could be the colors they've used on their header image or their photograph. There could be all sorts there. Another one you can use, and again, you can use Boolean search for this. I mentioned this in the Boolean search video, but let's say you have a common interest in golf or yoga or swimming or something that is a particular hobby of yours. You could also use your Boolean searches to find people with a specific job title and then add that keyword in. So that again allows you to find some alignment on hobbies and interests. Publications is a good one to personalize your invitations. So I have a client in Holland. He found a magazine full of the top 100 CEOs that were in this kind of, they were awarded this kind of special thing. And he went through the publication and he personalized an invitation to all those CEOs, mentioning the fact that he had seen their article in that particular publication. And he got an 86% acceptance rate from all these top CEOs because he specifically mentioned the publication when he personalized his invitation. Again, there may be some awards and achievements that you've seen them in the newsfeed picking up. Again, you can mention that when you connect with them. If you have multilingual and you speak the same language, that will be obvious on a profile as well. And a few more things. Think about things like change of circumstances, like maybe they've had a promotion, maybe they've changed jobs, maybe they've had a particular circumstance that they've announced on the newsfeed. And again, you can personalize your invite based on that. Another good one is the same hometown. So we have a client in our agency, and she's from Harrogate in Yorkshire. And she said to us, like, our Yorkshire people love connecting with Yorkshire people. So we leveraged that when we were inviting her connections, and we looked specifically for that geography and mentioned the fact that we had this, that she had this Yorkshire connection in common. And again, she got something like a 76% acceptance rate because she knew that people like to be connected. So again, if you know your hometown, like your hometown may not be listed in the big list of locations on the searches on not Sales Navigator, on LinkedIn, but you could do a search for like I grew up in Horsham, for example. So I have done a search before where I've just put in the word Horsham in the search and see who's come up. And there would be some useful people, and I can see that they went to the same school or they went to the same hometown as me. And if you can't find anything else, then you might just have a similar industry. So those are some of the ways that you can pick out from people's profile and mention it when you message them. So I'm just going to give you a specific example. This is taken from a screenshot in Sales Navigator, but this is kind of what I look for when I'm going through someone's profile. You could do this on the normal LinkedIn version as well, but I've just got some screenshots here of Sales Navigator. So this is Anne-Marie. She's the director of sales. I've just hidden the company there just for privacy reasons. So I can see there she's director of sales. She's been there for 1 year and 2 months. So I'm looking at a few different things, like I've got some shared connections, I can see some contact details there, etc. But I can also see her recent activity on LinkedIn. So I can see there that the company has just raised some funding. I actually went to look at that particular post, and I could see that they've raised 55 million in Series B funding. I can also see how I could get introduced to her. A couple of other things I look at, their volunteering sections, the things like she volunteers at the Web Summit, that's a big event in Ireland, and she fundraises for the Irish Cancer Society. Now, my mum is a 3 times cancer survivor, so that could be something I could pick up on. And I can see there that she's only been there for a short period of time, but she's already been promoted. So a couple of things I'd be picking up there. And this is the message I sent her. Hi, Anne-Marie, congrats on your career progression at Company X. I also saw that the company has recently raised 55 million in Series B funding. Sounds like it's going to be a few exciting years ahead. I love connecting with ambitious women in sales leadership. It would be great to have you in my network. 2 hours later, she's in my network. I've used things in her content. I've used things on her profile, but there were probably 7 things I could have picked out there to personalize that connection report. So I'd like you, as we're on the hour almost, to share your key learnings in the chat box, and then I will go to the questions. I will go to the questions in just a second to see what's there. So if you do have a specific question, use the Q&A, not the chat box. Here we go. Nice, not to be timid. Nice, Felicity. Yeah, like these are just human beings behind a profile, right? They're just normal human beings who are nice people. And if you connect in a way that is not salesy, not pitchy, it's really, it's easy to do, right? So just don't be fearful about connecting with somebody you don't know. You never know, the next person you connect with could be your next best customer. That's the way to think about it. Great, perfect. The alumni search, okay, and different topics to connect on. Set aside Pomodoro, yes, set aside a Pomodoro 25 minutes every day for LinkedIn. Nice, Patrick. Uni connections, okay, great, fantastic, good. So we've got some good learnings there. So I want you now to obviously take some action. I'm going to stay on for questions. So I'm just looking here now. So Ida, you said once you're connected, what is the wisdom to continue the connection, or is the aim simply to get the individualized person to your network? There is a whole other strategy once you've got them, Ida. Obviously, these are half-an-hour sessions. I am going to be covering things like that, but there are 7 different prospecting campaigns that I talk about, and we talk about as our business at Pipeline 44. And depending on what the outcome is of your prospecting will determine what's next. Okay, so I'll do another session on that topic. But it is important that you do then have a next step with every single person. This was just a little segment on that first step, which is to get them into your network. So Maya, do you get people's contact info on Sales Navigator? Not all the time. It depends if they've got it visible or not, but there are tools that allow you to get phone numbers and email addresses, like Lusher and Signal Hire. They allow you to get people's contact information. So there are some tools out there to help you do that. But just by having Sales Nav doesn't mean you naturally get their contact details unless they've shared them. Michelle, do you find that connection acceptances decrease during bank holiday weekends? I've actually noticed, Michelle, the last couple, because we've had a few bank holidays in the UK, I've actually noticed them going up. So I sent out 50 invitations yesterday to CROs. I've had 26 of them accept. And I sent them like between Sunday night and Monday morning. So I actually got quite a decent acceptance rate from, you know, quite senior people in larger companies. So I actually find that they increase, but again, it depends on your target market. LinkedIn is just like real life where you do that automatically. Exactly. So Monique is saying there that just connecting with somebody on LinkedIn, imagine you were in a networking room with someone, right? You're going to go up to them, you're going to find out a bit about them, you know, et cetera, and then you're going to, you know, when you follow up with them, you're probably going to mention some of the stuff that you talked about. So this is just realizing that behind every single profile is a real human being that is, you know, just looking for and craving connection just as much as you are, right? So just do it in a nice way and don't be salesy and don't sell as soon as you've connected with them, like please, please, please. So okay, good. On polls, is 4 options the limit? I can't select more. Yeah. So on a poll, Steve, you have 4 options, and my recommendation is that you choose 3 options and leave the 4th one for either people to click on to see the results. So like some people put little eyes or an emoji with some popcorn, so just here for the results. Like some people don't necessarily want to vote on a poll, but they do want to understand and see the results. So all of my polls, if you look at them, have 3 options, and then the 4th one is here for the results. Also, maybe make one of them it depends comment below, because you want your poll to do well and you want your poll to fly, and it's going to fly more the more engagement you get underneath. So the more polarizing it is, as in the more people disagree with each other, the more kind of traction it's going to get, because there'll be lots of discussion underneath, or the more rage people have. So I did one the other day about is the education system failing our children. I told the story about one of my children, Oscar, who's in the middle of his GCSEs at the moment, and the poll absolutely flew because it had so many comments underneath, and also a lot of people wanted to see the results. So just by people saying I want to see the results, they're interacting with the poll anyway. So even if they were never going to vote, you've got another engagement on that poll, and that drives the algorithm. So 4 is the limit. Unfortunately, you can't select more than 4, but think about how you could get very strong with those options that you do choose. Okay, good. We are 5 minutes past the hour. We are going to be doing another one of these next week. I'm going to run them through to the end of July, and then I'm going to take a break in August, and I'll start them again in September. I hope you're enjoying them. Type yes if you are finding these helpful. I'm a LinkedIn expert who just love to help people, so that's why I do this. I'm a platform specialist. I help you to make money, not noise, from this platform. And you're welcome, Ida. And it's, you know, it's an absolute pleasure. You know, I know there's a lot of people out there struggling, a lot of people new to LinkedIn, a lot of people going, how on earth can I make this platform work? Someone said in one of my posts yesterday, it seems like it's a dark art. It's definitely not a dark art when you know what you're doing. So you're more than welcome, everybody. It's lovely to see all those nice comments in the box there. You'll get an email either later today or tomorrow if you're registered for these events with last week's recording and this week's recording. So you're going to get 2 replays. They also go to my YouTube channel, usually within about 24 hours. I try to get that up the same day. You can go to youtube.com/Sam Rathling. I did say I would also send you a link to grab a copy of the new book. So I'm going to pop that into the chat box. So 1 second. It actually gives you access to both of my books. So it will give you access to the PDF copy of LinkedIn Inbound and the PDF copy of Linked Outbound. It's up for a limited time. So if you go to that link in the chat box, you'll be able to download both of the books. And Linked Outbound will be up on the main news feed on Amazon, hopefully in the next week or so. But just for now, I'm just getting it out to a few people. But if you do like it, let me know. There is quite a lot of detail in there about the outbound aspect of LinkedIn. Obviously, we've covered some of that today, but the book will give you a lot more information about the personalization, prospecting, the different campaigns are in there as well. For those of you that asked about like what's next. So yeah, absolutely. So have the book on me. There you go, everyone. I'm just full of surprises today. So I look forward to seeing you all next week. I'm Sam Rathling. And remember, if you are not LinkedIn, you're totally linked out. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.